Alright, so I took and I moved the elevation turret, and I moved it up to 4 from 2.5. So I moved it up 1.5, and then I don't know if you guys can see the one over here on the side, but I moved it to 1.5 right. So with moving vertical 1.5 milliradian, even at a closer distance of, say, 50 yards, this thing should have at least moved half the distance as it would at 100. And let's get in here where you guys can see this. This was my first shot when I moved the my vertical turret up 1.5 milliradians. Now the scope measures from here to here at 1.5 milliradians. This came in at just under, it was about 1/3 of a milliradian, because the half was just above the line, or the hole. And then this should be on the same elevation, but it's not. Even though I was still aiming here, this was when I moved it 1.5 right, because 1.5 right would measure out to here. This could have been a little shooter error, but either way, it's not even moving. This is a standard size sheet of paper, 8.5 by 11, and you got 1-inch squares on here from line to line. So when you're aiming at the center of 4.5, you're talking 2.25 inches from here to here, and it didn't even move an inch. So if you don't have to mess with getting, once you zero your rifle or your scope, this specific scope, once you zero it, if you're not looking at having to make turret adjustments because of changing distances, or because you want to use it as a tactical scope, you'd probably be fine. But as for anybody who wants to do the long range shooting, kind of figuring you're gonna get what you pay for. In my case, I got it for free, so I can't complain, and it's not my normal scope that's on my rifle anyways, because I actually have a SWFA Super Sniper 10x42 that has proper and crisp tracking. But I'm not going to knock the Millett because of this minor little bit of playing around with it that I did. So as for a full hands-on review, looking through the glass, it's really good and crisp and clear at lower power. I haven't checked the higher power yet. A little tough to do when you're sitting around at home. But while I'm out here, let's just go ahead and crank this up. Alright, I'm on 16 power. And let me find a backdrop down there. And let me change. Okay. If you're looking out max power at roughly 100 to 110 meters on max power. The glass actually isn't half bad. There's some trees off in the distance behind the berm that I was shooting at, and I would put them probably closer to the 500 or 600 meter mark. Some of them might even be further. I'll pick out one of the closer ones, and the glass starts to get fuzzy, a little hazy. I can slightly pick up a little bit of mirage, but as for the glass being really crisp and clear like it is when it's at closer distances and lower power, it's not happening. I'm gonna back this off. I'm gonna back it off to like 8. So, and now when I'm looking at that same tree, it is much clearer, and the mirage is a little easier to see because of the clarity. So if you were looking at possibly getting a Millett because of the price and the variable power, I've had cheaper variable powers that are ultimately they're garbage when it comes to, once you get them zeroed. As long as they hold 0, you're fine. Now when I say cheap, I mean I'm talking like $80 Tasco scopes from Walmart I've had on my rifles. And can I hit what I'm aiming at? Well, definitely. But that also comes down to shooter and the gun. But was I shooting anything like a 7mm Rem mag? No. I was shooting 243 or 270 or, something that's, doesn't quite have the recoil. And it doesn't have quite the reach out and touch somebody as some of your other calibers, like a 260 or a 6.5 Creedmoor, or even the 7mm Rem mag, 300 Win mag, or the 7mm Rem mag and the 300 Win mag. 338 Lapua. I would not recommend putting cheap scopes on any rifle you plan on shooting at any kind of distance beyond 500 meters, because you're going to want that crisp, clear picture. I would actually recommend, if you're going to go the cost-effective route, your best bet is to actually get an SWFA Super Sniper in a fixed power. They now have an HD version that has HD glass in it. I don't have one. They are more expensive, but if you just get the standard glass, you're talking $300 for a scope that is heads and tails above anything in its class, all the way up to most of your $700-800 scopes. So now the HD version comes in at $700. I haven't been able to even look through one to see if how much difference the glass is, but obviously if it's got HD glass in it, it should be a much crisper picture than the standard glass. So with all that said, the Millett not only weighs a ton, I mean it's a pig. This thing has got to weigh at least a pound more than what my SWFA does. And I don't want to be lugging around this extra weight. I've checked, adjusting the tracking, for just making corrections to, just try and zero this at, say 40 to 50 yards out, and you're moving a full 1.5 milliradians, and it's not even moving a 0.5 milliradian according to where you were aiming and where it actually hit per the turret, or per the reticle. So is it possible the reticle isn't accurate or true? That's possible. Is it most likely the turrets? I would go with that. So if you've been looking at getting a Millett, just because you want variable power, just remember that when you're buying variable power in the lower end scopes, the picture, as you adjust that variable power out, gets fuzzier and fuzzier, so you don't have that crisp, clean picture. Along with, you also want to make sure, if you're going to have a variable power, you want front focal plane. That way when you adjust the power, it also magnifies the reticle, so that way you get a true comparison of what you're aiming at. So when you do measurements and things like that, it's going to measure properly. If it's second focal plane, like 90% of your cheap scopes are going to be, you won't get accurate ranging, and it's just remember, you get what you pay for. And I've always wanted the variable power until I bought a fixed power, and now I don't even want a variable power anymore. I want my fixed power. So I'll leave it up to you guys to determine whether or not, something like this is what you're looking for. If it is, go for it. I'm never going to try and talk somebody out of doing something that they've been looking at doing. But when it comes down to variable power scopes, you might want to look into even some of the primary arms. Guy I follow on YouTube, he actually comes highly on them. So, look into some of their variable powers in the primary arms on primaryarms.com, and maybe you'll find something better than the Millett for less money or similar money. But I won't put my own personal recommendation on the Millett whatsoever, and I will stick with my SWFA. And I'll stick this back in the closet. If I get another rifle, maybe I'll put it on there and play around with it. It was free anyway, so we'll talk to you later. Have a good one.